and Cubelic in the morning, hour number 3, Thursday, November 6th. 9 a.m. right here on Jocks. Listen online, jocksfm.com. Apps in your app store, iPhone, Android. Download it for free. Watch live on YouTube. He joins us each and every week. Thanks to our friends at Coke and Piggly Wiggly. It's the coach, Wim Sanderson.
Hey, Cole.
Yes, sir.
It's National Redhead Day. Does Greg have red hair?
I wouldn't say it's red. I feel like it's kind of like a reddish brown.
The
Reddish brown?
actual hair color that I was born with is surprisingly auburn.
War damn eagle.
Oh, what?
Wouldn't you
4 years
believe
ago, I couldn't spell. Really?
Yeah, that's
Well,
what's listed on my
congratulations. You
driver's
should've been-
license and things like that.
He was born an Auburn boy.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you know what I used to have on my desk when I was coaching at Alabama? An Auburn graduate. 4 years ago, I couldn't spell engineer. Now R1.
That's how good they make you when you go to Auburn, Coach.
Yeah, yes, sir. I like. All right, now, a guy calls in my cotton picking show and says that Greg said that the reason that the opponents, but Auburn had a bad offense, and that's the reason the opponents didn't show their offense, that they were going to beat Auburn anyway. So they kept their offense hidden or didn't take any chances because they knew they were going to win the game because Auburn had bad offense. Did you say that, Greg?
No, what I say is
Like that.
you are not forced to get overly aggressive offensively when playing against Auburn.
Okay.
You essentially can say, all right, hey, let's just play it close to the vest. Let's not try to make any mistakes. I think at the end of the day, our defense will play well. So if I were putting a game plan together against Auburn this year, it would probably, for example, I think Auburn's defensive stats probably slightly inflated, partly because teams are not having to do too much against them, because basically becomes a race to 21 or 24. If I can get to 24, I feel real good about winning the game against Auburn. So I don't need to race to 48. I don't need to start doing double moves and pumps, and I can probably be a little bit more aggressive with first down, second down runs. I'm fine punting the ball. As long as I don't give it to him on the short field, I feel pretty good about it. So, yeah, I said that.
For both of you, are they going to struggle a little bit with Vanderbilt's offense because he gets out and runs with it and runs the option a lot? New defensive coordinator or new head coach there trying to show what he can do. Is that going to be what is for both of you, for our listeners? Where is that going to go for both of you defensively for Auburn? I guess that.
Well, we said it last week, Coach, that the Texas edge defenders versus the Vanderbilt tackles were going to, I thought, decide that game. They weren't able to get them in conflict very often.
Okay.
When you look at, I know it's a different offense, but versus Kentucky specifically, just because this was last week, and you saw it against Missouri a little bit a couple weeks ago, the way that Kieron Crawford, Amaris Williams, sometimes Kildrick Falk, how they have been crashing the mesh point and playing that thing aggressively, not getting caught in between, so to speak, I think DJ will have a really good plan against it. So when that's the case, do I think that they can just plain and simply run the football against Auburn? A little bit, but not a lot. So I think if you get this into a game where Diego Pavia's got to drop back 20, 22 times to actually win the game, that's a big advantage for Auburn if they can do that.
Yeah,
so I think the mesh reads, how they crash them, attack them, forcing Diego Pavia into decisions earlier than he wants to make them. If that happens, that's a big advantage Auburn. I think Auburn – I'm not going to say Auburn wins the game because I don't know if they can score. I'm just going to be honest with you. I think Auburn's defense could give up 225 yards and lose this game. Because Clark's going to have a plan on the other side too now. And they got a couple guys up front that can rip, and Auburn's not going to be able to block them. They dang sure ain't going to be able to protect them. So that's where I think the problem comes in if you're talking about Auburn actually winning the game.
Yeah. Greg, any thoughts on that?
You know what's funny is I feel like Auburn has now played this group. They played them last year, of course. I felt like, and I didn't go back and watch this game, Cole, but I feel like they defended them decent last year. I know they lost the game, but I feel like they defended them okay, right? Like I don't remember it becoming this huge challenge containing Diego Pavia last year. Cole, did you go back and watch it?
So the 3-4 times he's played Hugh Freeze, I think it's 3. The first 2 he put up incredible numbers.
He smoked them.
Last year he did not have gigantic numbers. No.
No. So I think they've improved slightly, and granted, different personnel at Auburn with DJ than there was at New Mexico State, right?
Yeah, Vandy ran 38 times for 84 yards last year.
Yes, exactly. So I don't think Vandy's going to have a ton of success moving it. I think the big key, frankly, is can Auburn move it? And this is one of my favorite upsets of the week, by the way. Like, I think Auburn is actually going to play well in this game. I think they'll contain Diego Pavia. They're not going to give up big plays. They're going to force him to be patient. They're going to stop the run. I like their chances of holding up front. I think Texas kind of provided the blueprint a little bit, and Texas made a couple key mistakes that basically gifted Vanderbilt 2 touchdowns, which, by the way, Vanderbilt's going to force a couple mistakes, so that happens as well. But there were 2 significant, very correctable errors made by Texas that led to 14 points for Vandy, maybe 15 points if you include the 2-point conversion after the touchdown. So looking at it, like, I think Auburn's going to play very well on defense. The big question to me is how well will Auburn play on offense? Because I think Vandy's defense is much better than it was a year ago.
I've done so poorly my blue plates. I still don't have one. But are you a little? I think the coach at Mississippi State has done a pretty good job.
He's done a great job.
I know. I think he has too. And they're sitting there. Somebody tried to tell me it's 8.5, 9 get against the Georgia. Georgia's not quite Georgia of the past, but they're well coached. Y'all's thoughts about that game?
I think it can be dangerous. I don't think I'm super confident, Coach, and sitting here saying that there are a lot of ways Mississippi State can get this win, but there are some slower developing things that Georgia will do on occasion offensively. My opinion, Bobo needs to throw all that out for this game because this is an attacking defense that off the edge, up the middle, different games, pressures, like they're going to come after you. Now, some quick misdirection stuff, like you fake a handoff, throwback screen the opposite direction, things of that nature. I think they have a lot of success with that. But they tackle really well on the perimeter. Their corners are not afraid of contact. So a lot of the quick screens, the Zion Branch, like they had success with, and quick throws against Florida might not be sort of a baseline offense in this game. Can they go right at them? I don't know. Greg can give his opinion on this. Georgia's been super hit and miss in that department. I mean, you don't get much on the ground at all against Florida, and then one cutback run goes to the house. It looks like you're pounding the football on them. So, and they'll get their shot plays in. And Georgia has given up big plays down the field to multiple opponents this year. And Mississippi State they're going to miss 4 or 5 down the field. They're going to hit some too. So I think it's super dangerous. I get nervous that we're coming up on a week with Mississippi State that just the tank is actually going to show, like the light's going to come on that the tank is empty. Because they have been given crazy effort every single week. Close games almost every week. Like, you just wonder, Coach, when are they going to hit a wall? I hope they don't. But if it's this weekend, I don't see a chance where they find a way to get a win.
Well, anything, Greg, I know we got to go here in a minute. But, I think the one thing about the LSU game, I'll jump over to it, is boring to play. I think their bunch wants to play a little bit. Maybe wants to play a little bit more. It's gotten some of the riffraff. I don't mean riffraff, but it's gotten some of the negativity out of there. And the coaches said too. I think it's a plus for Alabama. Any thought on that, Greg?
I mean, I think LSU is going to play. I think you're going to get their best effort of the season.
Yeah.
Now, will it be enough? Who knows? I don't know the answer to that just yet. I think Alabama's really good, but I think LSU matches up okay. I think if you look at the way this roster was constructed, it was constructed starting in the back end defensively to basically cover Alabama. Like, they're good in the secondary. They're very good in the secondary. They have I think they have an elite lockdown corner. I think they have one of the more instinctive safeties I've seen in A.J. Halsey. Like, those two guys can take over the game and have, if you allow them to. Where I think they can get themselves into some trouble is they can times be a little too aggressive, and that's been used against them. So if Ty's decisive and getting the ball out and seeing the pressures and things like that, you can exploit them. If you got a veteran quarterback that understands where the pressure's coming from and where the vulnerabilities are in the back end, you can take advantage of that. But they can rush the passer. If you start holding it and you start waiting for things to uncover, you're going to be in some trouble because they're going to heat you up and they're going to overload your protection. Where I think LSU might struggle is I think Bama's defensive line, I'm not saying they're an elite pass rushing group, but I do think they're probably even better than the stats might indicate. And I think the offensive line for LSU could have some challenges. And I've yet to see this LSU group really commit to the run, even though I think they will in this game. But I think Bama probably knows that too. I think Bama probably understands this is a new coach. Frank Wilson has spent time as a running back coach for a very long time. They're going to commit to trying to run the football. That's the expectation I would anticipate if I were Kane Womack, the defensive coordinator. So I think it's going to be a good game. I really do. I think it's going to be a good game. But I also think that LSU is probably going to need to force Ty into some uncomfortable situations because their offense is just limited. Just limited. I don't really know what else to tell you.
Yeah. Well, before I leave here, everybody in the SEC is looking for a coach. I don't know if Tulane coach is going to Auburn. No, I know Lane Kiffin's not going to Auburn. I can tell you that because I used to work for some guys at Auburn. So I would say that Lane Kiffin is not going anywhere, and I would say that the athletic director being changed at LSU has affected his ideas of going to LSU if he was going to go. So that's what I'm going to say, and I don't know. Well, to tell you,
sounds like
else?
You think Lane stays at Ole Miss.
That's what I do. I think he stays at Ole Miss. That last time, I think he's going to stay there. I think he's happy there. I think his family's gotten straightened out there. I think he's just. I just think he's. I think money. He said he'd never changed for money, and I'm not sure that he really has. Money's money. I know you want a lot of it, but he's pretty darn good. The LSU coach is 34-14. If he had Lane Kiffin's personality, he might have stayed. That's personality enters in wins and losses. Wins are bigger. The personality is just as big. All right, I'll get off here. Piggly Wiggly is outstanding, and if you'll go in Piggly Wiggly, I'll guarantee you they'll be the kind of place that you'll enjoy shopping, and they'll have anything in the world that you need from great food to great vegetables, and they're great people because I eat lunch with them every week. And Coca-Cola's the same way. Coke and Piggly Wiggly give me a chance to be on here. I love you two guys. Y'all are great, and I appreciate you taking my dumb questions. Thanks.
Thank you,
appreciate
Coach.
It.
We always appreciate it.
All right. Okay,
great stuff there from the coach, Wimp Sanderson. Not a lot of updates on coaching moves today. We haven't spent a lot of time sort of discussing those. We can spend a little bit more time on those. Are you beginning to lean that there's a much better chance Lane stays in Oxford, Greg, than him being the head coach at LSU or Florida?
No, I'm not leaning that way at all.
You don't think that door's even been opened anymore? I think it's been opened a little bit more, yeah. I think it's more possible. I'm not going to say that I'm leaning there, but I think it's more possible.
I think it's definitely possible, but I don't think it's changed. Like, my opinion on it hasn't changed from the get-go. Like, I think he's going to listen. I think he will listen. And I think I think there's a strong possibility he takes one of those two. Real strong. I'd say better than 50%.
Yeah.
But I just at the same time, I still know that Lane is predictably unpredictable.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the unpredictable, and he's a bit of a contrarian. So I think the contrarian approach would be, I'll stay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that him basically just wanting to surprise everybody and not have everybody tell him where he's going to go, like that wouldn't surprise me. But I also think that there is an appeal to Florida, for him especially, that I could see him going.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, we'll talk about that one a little bit more on the other side. If we have any more news on it, Chris Vanini will let us know from the G5 perspective of what coaches he thinks are going to be on the move, maybe where they actually end up going. That'll be something we discuss with him. Game day men's health, something we discuss with you each and every day. If you are lacking energy, lacking sleep, feeling on edge, Game Day Men's Health wants to help you today. It's easy. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Sign up for that free consultation today. Free PSA test, free testosterone test. Then they know where your baseline health is because they're going to get your measurables when you go in there also. Save 10% on any service they offer, and they're going to be able to offer you weight loss programs, peptides, other services to just get you back feeling your best at Game Day Men's Health. Holistic approach to health and wellness, locker room environment, minimal upfront cost from the programs that they offer. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com today and sign up for that free consultation and tell them you heard about them right here on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, more college football when we come back next on Jocks. Welcome back in, McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. I just brought up, it's like a little more grit. I feel like you need to bring it back with there. Mac and Cube.
Yeah. Growl.
All right, we'll get to Chris Vanini here in a few moments. First, Greg, tell our listeners about Bromberg's.
Well, Bromberg's is the go-to and has been for years. Nearly 200 years they've been serving this community. And you can celebrate gift-giving season with an unforgettable gift from Bromberg's. From dazzling diamonds to designer jewelry to luxury watches, fabulous giftware, there's something for everyone on your list. They're Alabama's leading jeweler since 1836. They've helped make Christmas wishes come true for generations. And with complimentary gift wrap in their signature silver box, you'll give a gift that people in your family will treasure forever. So visit Bromberg's in Mountain Brook Village and at the Summit. And you can also shop online at brombergs.com.
All right, let's go to Dalton and Aniana quickly before we go to Chris Vanini here in a few moments and talk college football. Dalton, what's up?
Hey, guys. Thank y'all so much for taking the call.
Yeah.
First-time listener, long-time caller. I wanted to talk about I'm seeing increasing amount of people calling the SEC overrated. They don't really call the Big Ten, but I want to give an argument that I know some have mentioned, but we don't give enough weight to, and I think it's the recruiting, and that's why we're so deep in the SEC. I'm kind of a numbers guy, so I was looking at the rankings from 24/7 of last year, and the average ACC team ranks 16 in recruiting. And then the average Big Ten team ranks 31 in recruiting nationally. And I wanted to see what y'all thought about that.
I'd probably say that I was a little surprised by that. Is that kind of where you're going? You just would have thought SEC teams have been higher? Yeah, I feel like it's always Alabama, Georgia's up there, and LSU's usually in the mix. Florida's in the mix. A couple other teams have been having more success. So, yeah, I'd be surprised that was it. I would wonder how different it was across the different services also. I don't know the answer to that, but even if it was any different.
And you have your typical
my big reason for that is I think when you look at the SEC, unlike the Big Ten, and this is no disrespect to the Big Ten, it's just an acknowledgement of fact. Every single team in the SEC genuinely believes that they can win. Seriously. I mean, tell me a team in the SEC that you think is totally content going 6-6.
There's
you
not.
would say Vanderbilt, but that's changed these last couple of years. So traditionally, Vanderbilt, get to a bowl game. That's the goal. No, that's changed a lot since Clark Lee arrived and kind of reestablished what their expectations are. In the Big Ten, I think there's a handful of teams that essentially say, we know we can't play with Ohio State. We know it's going to be really hard to keep up with Michigan. It's going to be impossible to keep up with Oregon. So therefore, we're not going to go all in every year. We're not going to give it our best shot every year. Like, we just want to put forth a competitive product, maybe pull an upset or two, and hopefully get to the postseason. And hey, if the stars align, we make a run. That's great. But I think in the SEC, the fans and the brands expect to be competitive every year. Every single one of them. That's, I think, the difference.
Yeah, I would agree. All right, let's go to the Higginbotham hotline now. Welcome in Chris Vanini. Chris, first thing I want to start with is a massive matchup coming at us this week, and we don't usually get one this big, I don't think, at this point in the season. But when you look at Tulane at Memphis, what sticks out for you in this matchup as far as a lean or an advantage?
Yeah, I mean, these were two of the biggest Group of Five favorites coming into the season to get that playoff spot. And Memphis has a win over Arkansas. Tulane has wins over Northwestern and Duke. But, Memphis tripped up against UAB, and they always drop kind of one or two of those games you don't expect them to. And Tulane just hasn't been consistent all year. I think they are the most talented team in the Group of Five, and sometimes they've been able to show it. But, they had to come back and beat East Carolina in a weird game. They had to come back and beat Army. They couldn't come back against UTSA because they had fallen behind so much. I think the run defense for Tulane has been a problem, and Henry was able to run all over them for UTSA. So, with Brendan Lewis, assuming he's able to play quarterback for Memphis, I'm very curious what they're able to get both in the run game with the running backs and with him.
It's kind of crazy to see a Tulane team ranking in the hundreds defensively and to give up over 400 a game. It's just not something you're used to. So when you look at Tulane, are they good enough defensively to slow down this Memphis team? That's the real question to me.
Yeah, that's what it's been, especially the run defense, like I mentioned. And Memphis has been able to put up a lot of points and get that comeback win against USF a few weeks ago. And, I was down at Tulane a couple weeks ago for that East Carolina game, and I was inside the program for a couple of days with John Summerall, and he was concerned about that too. Like, he loved the talent that they had, but he had been unable to kind of get it to all come together. He's kind of worried about the maturity of the team and guys playing up to their abilities. And they've had some injuries here and there that have impacted things a little bit. But that's ultimately what it comes down to. You got to be able to stop the run first, and that opens up your ability to do other things on defense. And they haven't really been able to do that consistently.
Who do you think the best G5 team is this year?
That's a good question. I've seen Tulane in person. I've seen USF and North Texas in person. I think the upside of all three of those are really high. Like, if you get them on their best day, I think they're all really good. But they've been a bit inconsistent. I think I'll go with USF. I was so impressed with them physically when I saw them at the North Texas game. But they did have a bunch of turnovers in that first half before they settled down and were able to pull away. So I think I like USF, but they stumble a little bit. That first half against North Texas, that fourth quarter against Memphis, suddenly just things don't work for whatever reason. That's, I think, with all these teams, is like, are you going to get them on their best day, whoever it is, when they're in that playoff game? Like, that's ultimately what's going to determine if it's going to be a close game or not.
It's pretty wild. When you look at the G5 in general, and the groundswell of support that they've generated as a result of the 12-team playoff and then now access to the 12-team playoff. How important is it this year, knowing that playoff changes are constant and we're not going to see any adjustments? How important is it this year for the G5 team that makes the playoff to be competitive in that first-round game?
I don't think it matters as much anymore because, like, the conferences have already signed an agreement that whatever the next playoff is, whether we go to 16 or more or whatever, that they will continue to have the top 5 spots for conference champion. It's 5 spots for the top conference champions. So the group of 5, group of 6, which it'll be, will still have a spot. I think the most important thing for the group of 5 was last year with whoever it was. You didn't want to have the first year of the 12-team playoff, an unranked group of 5 team getting a playoff spot, that really leaving a bad taste in people's mouths. And you didn't. You had Boise State that was in the top 13, 12, somewhere around number 10. I forgot exactly what they were, and had taken Oregon, number 1, to the last play of the game. And so that ultimately was like, that was the tone setter. Like, you can't really have an embarrassing debut. And they were ranked higher than the ACC champion and got the first round bye. And at that point, I think the group of 5 was, like, I guess, safe to continue to have a spot for the foreseeable future. Like, whatever they do moving forward, I'm sure there will be people now, there's nobody ranked right now, there will be in the future who don't think that should happen. But based on what the commissioners and conferences have agreed upon, there will continue to be a spot for the group of 6 champion.
Chris Vanini joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline, talking some G5 information and games coming up as well. Coaches on the move. When you look at some that may be going from the G5 to the P5, who makes the most sense? Who do you look at as potentially leaving, and where to?
I mean, there's quite a few. I think it starts with John Summerall at Tulane, and I think Auburn would be a really good fit for him, as I'm sure you guys have talked about. He's from Alabama. I think his wife went to Auburn. He's from Huntsville. He's coached at Ole Miss and Kentucky, coached at Troy down there.
Chris, I got to stop you real quick since my wife just walked out of the studio. Not only did she attend Auburn, she was a KD at Auburn. So if I didn't say that, I would get in trouble here on the show. So
there you go. I wrote a story for The Athletic, kind of how Summerall runs his program, and I was really impressed at kind of the CEO type of role he plays. He's not someone who's in there calling all the plays, demanding all these things. It's kind of a holistic approach. But they got to finish the season strong. You can't be losing down the stretch for pretty much any of these coaches right now. We still have a month to go in the season. And guys who you think might be a good fit for a job, they still have to finish strong and win games. But I think Summerall could make a lot of sense at Auburn, in part because I don't think he'd be the top option for LSU and Florida. So if you're able to kind of get an early start on that, potentially before Ole Miss ends up, where he also used to coach, that could be a fit. I think Ryan Silverfield at Memphis, good chance he lands somewhere, potentially in Arkansas type of thing. Alex Golish at USF will have a lot of interest as well. And it's going to be interesting, like, for these guys who make the playoff, for not only Lane Kiffin, but whoever's in the G5 too. Like, how long do these open jobs wait for somebody to kind of finish out their season, depending how long they go? Bob Chesney at James Madison, really good coach, up-and-coming guy. So, like, it's not a great coordinator year in terms of, like, here's the hot coordinator that someone needs to hire. And we've seen a lot of Power 4 coaches not leaving. Kurt Cignetti, Matt Rule, Rhett Lashley. So that may turn into a lot more Group of 5 head coaches getting jobs in this cycle.
You referenced Bob Chesney. I don't feel like a lot of our listeners know anything about him. But just kind of explain to our listeners why he is such an attractive candidate and how many people are naturally making the connection between him and the path that Kurt Cignetti has now taken to the top of the college coaching world.
Both similar paths and both coaching at James Madison. Chesney's currently the coach at James Madison. He didn't cross over with Cignetti anywhere, but he followed him. But Chesney has been a head coach since 2010. He's won everywhere he's been, Division II, FCS. He's one of those guys where you look up his record, like Kurt Cignetti said, you Google him, and he wins. And that's what he does. And Kurt Cignetti's 64 years old. Chesney's only 48. He's a guy who spent most of his time in the Northeast on the East Coast, currently down in Virginia at James Madison. So, Lance Leipold, another guy. Kalen DeBoer, another guy. Some of these coaches who have won at the lower levels are starting to kind of get more attention for bigger jobs because those guys are winning, and it opens up more eyes to, like, who's someone down at a lower level who maybe we should get in and hire. But Chesney's been very impressive. He was at Holy Cross before he's at James Madison. And they're 7-1 this year, I think, James Madison. Not out of the playoff hunt. They've got a chance as well. But, yeah, he's 16-5 in 2 years at James Madison after Kurt Cignetti basically took all the good players to Indiana with him. So it's been impressive.
It's wild to think about, Chris. Appreciate the time, man. Great insight. Good stuff there. Look forward to catching up with you again soon. Thanks for hopping on today.
Yep. Talk to you guys later. See you.
All right, Chris Vanini joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline, talking a little bit of coaching search, coaching changes, things coming up. What's that going to look like? More games coming up this weekend that we need to begin to dive into. But if you're looking to dive into a new home, it should probably be with Gusty Goulis and the Gusty Goulis Group. Why? It's easy. Serve more than 3,000 home buyers and sellers in the greater Birmingham area. Since 2012, Gusty Goulis Group recognized both nationally and locally as Greater Birmingham, Alabama's #1 team in homes sold. Over 850 5-star Google reviews. Most agents are going to start marketing after you list with them, not Gusty. You can trust his proven and aggressive selling system, brokered by eXp Realty. So, Gusty Goulis Group, they want to help you out today. Go to GustyGoulisGroup.com. Call 205-542-1996 today. That's 205-542-1996 and start packing. More conversation on games coming up this weekend with a quarterback change coming in college football and some injury news that could affect the college football playoff race. All that and more next on Jocks. All right, some news around college football. We mentioned Auburn Notre Dame agreed to a home-and-home 27-28 earlier in the show. Mizzou tight end Brett Norfleet is questionable. Scooby Williams, we mentioned linebacker for A&M, is going to be out. Whit Weeks doubtful for LSU. Wide receiver Ryan Williams probable for Alabama. Michigan running back Justin Haynes going to have foot surgery. GMAC, they're saying he may get back. I don't know, but this affects the playoff race because we've seen what Michigan has done to Ohio State in recent years. Justice Haynes having a pretty good year for the Wolverines up there, and a guy they would most likely have to lean on in a game like that to be able to find a way to upset the Buckeyes at the end of the year.
Well, help me out with this. Justice Haynes had a great year. Now, they do have a 1-2 punch there, and the quarterback run game's also impactful too. But Justice Haynes has been the big play threat in the run game. Is Michigan a team that you think can manufacture points without a big run being ripped off of 40, 50 yards?
I don't think he's the only one that they could rely upon. I also think quick game can help them there because I think their receivers have a little more juice than people give them credit for.
Yeah.
I just think he's provided those big plays. When you go look at the actual speeds that he's hit, I don't think anybody that watched him at Alabama thought he was that fast because he's hit like over 21 multiple times this year. And I think that he just is the most reliable guy they have in all areas. A vet that just can be a breakaway back, not afraid to sort of carry the load at the same time. Like you said, he's been great for him this year. And that's not a piece that you want to be missing going in, most likely playing undefeated number one team in the nation in the regular season finale.
No. And I think when you look at where he's at and his progress as a player, he also can contribute some of the passing game too and utilizing some of their easy stuff that they do. I mean, a lot of the stuff they do is pretty simple on the quarterback, so it's pretty quick thought process, getting the ball out, catch and run, space. He's just a big play threat. So they're not an offense that really scares you to death in general. At least I don't think they are. So having that one guy that can take over the game with speed is of the utmost importance. So I don't know if you see it similarly, but I think that's a massive loss. And I'm not like the biggest Justice Haynes fan. I think he's a good back. I don't think he's Jeremiah Love or Ahmad Hardy, but man, he's not far behind those guys. He's probably a top 5 to 10 back in college football.
Yeah.
So him being out's massive. Now I love the backup. I think he's a really, really good backup, Wallace or whatnot. But man, that 1-2 punch in that game, you gotta have the big play. Against Ohio State, you have to be able to manufacture the big ones, and I don't know how many they'll be able to manufacture.
All right, so Justice Haynes going to be out. Being out of their program, Penn State tight end Joey Scheffler announces he'll hit the portal. Oregon DB Dakota Fields going to hit the portal. Boise State running back Breesy Duber. Great name, going to the portal there. Hadn't seen much of the tape on him running the football. And Colorado's going to make the switch to Juju Lewis at quarterback, GMAC, this week against West Virginia.
Surprised?
With the rumblings behind the scenes of the offensive coordinator situation and whatnot, and how many times they've already juggled quarterbacks this year, no, not at all. And the year they're having, no. Hey, that brings me to a question that I wanted to ask you. And I referenced this during the game last week, Kentucky and Auburn. And it has to do with a spark. Does it come down to the individual to be able to provide that for a certain team? Greg will answer that. The other guys will answer that next right here on Jocks. Going to bring this up again, and this is not meant to throw shade at Hugh Freeze or anything, not really where we're trying to go with this, but it became an interesting discussion during the game. And some people kind of responded to me via social media when I said it during the game that they sort of disagreed. When we were talking about exchanging quarterbacks last week for Auburn, it came up about sort of the how and why and some of the reasons that Hugh Freeze was given for doing that. We'll tell you about that and why, and the question I want to get to in just a moment. You're going to have to wait to hear our answers. But one thing you never have to wait for, Greg, is your dental care.
That's because Family Dental has you taken care of. They're the urgent care office where you can be seen the same day in several locations to make it easy on you. Hoover, Fultondale, Homewood, Alabaster, and Trustful. Call them today. Same-day appointments are available. You can also go and check them out. And on Fridays and Saturdays too. Most insurance plans are accepted, and they're accepting patients of all ages. So call them today at 874-9605. That's 874-9605.
So multiple times when Coach Freeze referenced switching to Ashton Daniels to start or Jackson Arnold coming back in, and he actually referenced this before the Missouri game that we had on if he would make that switch, was that he was doing it to get a spark, saying the team needs a spark. We just need a spark. And I said on the broadcast, I said, I believe sparks are created by execution. I don't believe sparks are created by individuals. Now, the level of can be different. Like, can Johnny Manziel give you a run around and behind the pocket, like move, shake a guy? Like, but you're not leaning on that for the guy to come in and do that. Like, you don't come in and say, hey guys, missed the blitz, so he has to do a 360 and pirouette out of it and throw off balance and maybe complete a pass. Like, what are you doing, calling that again on second down? This is not real. So I was just interested to start with you, Greg. Like, where are you as far as, like, bringing a guy in to, quote, create a spark for your team?
I can get on board with it if it completely alters your offensive identity. So, for example, if you're kind of a ground and pound unit, let's just say you're Iowa. Okay, and you got one guy that is very you have one guy that's really physical as a runner, kind of a bruiser, a 230-pound back that's 3, 4, 5 yards in the cloud of dust. You want to bring in a spark? Bring in the 185-pound guy that ran track in high school. You know, just a little juice, and it kind of changes what you are offensively. Now, if the 185-pound guy was your every down back, that's not going to be very good for you, is it?
Like the trend in Holiday, you're saying?
Yes. Maybe not that
Ontario McCaleb?
Maybe not that small. But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think when you look at some of those change of pace players, say you have a traditional drop back quarterback and your offense is pro style. Well, when you get in the red zone and the yards become tough, throw in a guy that can come in and maybe provide a bit of a spark with quarterback run. I don't think there's a problem with having different levels of your offense that are tough to account for.
Okay, so somebody who provides something different, you think could provide that's, quote, spark. Damian, where are you on creating a spark with a new player?
It's all about how you get the ball to him. Like, when was the last time we seen Auburn just do just a regular screen pass and get just force feed, Eric Singleton, or try to get them just out in space? Kind of what Georgia does with Zachariah Branch a little bit, where they'll have a bubble screen and expect him to kind of just make guys miss and just get a few plays there just to kind of stretch it out a little bit and shorten the down yards. I don't know, because when I look at Ashton Daniels and Jackson Arnold, I don't see that much of a separation of what they are as quarterbacks. And my biggest issue, especially against Kentucky, was you had Ashton Daniels, and I don't necessarily think it was him that was at fault for some of the things that were happening. I mean, the offensive line just wasn't up. They weren't protected. And even when Jackson Arnold got in there, the same results were happening. So, and then to put him back in the 2-minute situation, still, I don't understand why they went to that level. But some guys can offer a spark. It's kind of like Chris Leak and Tim Tebow. Like, they were two different style quarterbacks. And like to Greg's point, they changed what the offense was going to do. But if you're going to swap quarterbacks and keep everything else the same, I don't know where you could really get the spark when both of the guys kind of look the same.
It's a fair point. John, where are you? Individual. Provide a spark, or does that come with more just collectively your offense doing its job?
I think an individual can be the spark to ignite what's already there. I do think you're right in that, yeah, it's all about execution. But sometimes it just takes a different person maybe to say the same thing that they've been hearing, or for it to come about a different way, and just changing that message ever so slightly, or one person just maybe doing something ever so differently can actually be the ignition to actually light the rocket fuel of where they're trying to take off.
Okay. So that's just kind of spark, individual player, where that is, what that is. We'll wrap up today's show when we come back with a bet. Oh, we don't need to go there?
No, we're good.
Fine. All right, so is this more the demeanor of the player also? Like, can attitude, can style of play, obviously speed, like Greg was saying, gives you a pretty big benefit, but is it more like emotional where the player can come in and provide a spark for you, G-Mac?
I think emotionally, some. For example, the guy has a targeting foul. He can't play in the first half defensively. The guy comes out in the second half and is flying around and is fresh and is making plays all over the field. Like, that can provide an emotional spark, don't you think?
Yeah, Smoke Monday.
Until he gets another targeting foul and is out again. So he can provide it again.
You know what, Damien, you're
game.
right. He provides a spark to the opposite offense with 15 yards. So, yes, that's actually accurate.
Right.
I
Makes
see where you're
sense.
going with that. Yeah, like if you want to provide a spark, like, hey, put your targeter in, please, for us so we can get first downs. All right, quickly, bad box score of the day. We get to it each and every day. It is the best of the worst. I'll take you to women's college basketball. The Harris Stowe State.
Hawks.
No.
Hogs.
No.
Oh.
There are only so many other H mascots out there that you can guess.
Anteaters.
Hornets.
Hornets. Hornets.
They just
Hornets.
went down to the Lindenwood College.
We've had them before.
We have.
Was it,
They're
they the
the
Lakers?
Lakers, no.
Leaves.
No.
Lancers.
Only so many other mascots
Lions.
starting with an L. You're right. The
Lions.
Lindenwood Lions. All-time great Kevin Staninka played tight in there. 107-23. last night.
Okay.
Harris State, from behind the three-point line, 2 of 18.
Yeah.
Okay, well, at least they turned it off. They realized the shots weren't falling. We've seen teams
I
go
haven't
like
given
2
you
for 30.
context of when those misses came and when
Oh.
the makes came. So I don't know either, but I just
Oh, boy.
they did shoot the ball 60 times. They made 10 of those.
It was just a cold game then.
Yeah, turned it over 23 times.
Okay, when that helps.
Lindenwood
not that many.
on the other side, almost on fire. You would say 12 of 30 from 3, 38 of 75 from the floor. They out-rebounded them 59-29.
Okay.
Not the best day out there that you would want to have as far as
No.
on the boards and how they were being crashed and how you're going out that. Also, Morris College,
Morris. They're the Days.
they're not.
No, they are they're the Eagles.
They're not.
Marauders.
Hornets. They
Double
just
up.
went
Double
down
Hornets.
to the South Carolina State.
We know. I
Oh,
should
wait,
We
no,
know
it's
this. We
upstate.
should know this.
Tigers.
Lady Bulldogs.
Bulldogs.
102 to 34 last night. The Hornets went down.
Ooh.
They shot 14 threes.
Okay.
And they made
That's not bad.
how many?
1.
Okay, that is bad.
They turned it over 45 times.
Okay, so yeah, that's.
Wait, did you
that's
say
where
4
got it.
or 5?
45.
4 or
Oh.
5. They shot the ball 55 times. They turned it over 45 times. They were out-rebounded somehow 42 to 37.
So they hustled. Okay, that we can
Maybe all 5 went into the lane
Right.
on every shot.
No, that's what it was. Yeah.
It's
So
just when
that
they
was just a
kicked it
bad
back
shooting
out,
game.
nobody was there, and it went to the other team.
See, I can coach that. It's a bad shooting game, but you gave me hustle by going after the rebounds. Even if you,
Can you coach that?
yeah, absolutely.
Can you make them better shots?
yeah, absolutely. Just watch some, Kawhi
Did
Leonard.
the coach say you
Wemby.
can't shoot accuracy?
You can coach color jersey pass to. South Carolina State, by the way, shot 43 threes. They made 12. There were 42 of 89 from the floor.
Wow,
Woo.
they getting up and down the floor.
Also last night, from the free throw line, Morris was 9 of 15. So it feels like you had a few more opportunities there where you could have closed the gap from 102 to 34. And speaking of halftime adjustments, the score by quarter, 17-6, 22-6, In the third, 39-9.
Okay.
Somebody got a talking to at halftime.
Yeah.
Lock in.
And then 24-13 in the fourth quarter. So what we know now is the South Carolina State Lady Bulldogs head coach is actually a good coach.
See, exactly. You can coach that.
Yes.
They hustled.
Told to us by Alabama media, you have to score more in the second half than the first half to be a good coach.
You South Carolina
That's
State.
the rumor.
Dims Morris.
Them's more. You betting this.
Those are your bad box scores of the day. All right. Appreciate Glenn Gilbo, Cooper Patanga, Wim Sanderson, Chris Vanini being with us today. Tomorrow, Max Ball Friday. Y'all know what it is. We'll go through as many games as we can, give you our thoughts on them, break them down, talk about them, all that and more tomorrow. But next, three-man front, followed by Paul Feinbaum right here